whenever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. Hell yeah, it's Friday, July 23rd, 2021. I'm going to sleep late tomorrow.
Yes.
And hopefully I'll wake up with my entire voice intact on a rainy Friday morning. What is going on with the weather these days, my friends? We have a lot to get to today. We have got to talk about this Big 12 SEC thing, major implications on the Pac-12. Jake is struggling with millennials. We're going to do some groundbreaking stuff on the Traeger this weekend. Watching other people try to use exercise bands is funny. But this morning we start with a pretty serious topic, which is you need to subscribe to this channel because we're getting awfully close to 1,500. When we get to 1,500 subs, we're going to give away this here Xbox Series S, as in sex.
All right.
And all you have to do is be subscribed and send us a photo that you're subscribed. Tag us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. It is The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. SLC Supercars. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Yo. Let's talk NFL and vaccines. As this story has exploded onto the national conversation this morning. And I think so many people believe now that the NFL has mandated vaccines, and they may well have. Without mandating vaccines, the NFL has mandated vaccines. They released a memo this week saying that teams who have COVID outbreaks amongst unvaccinated players and staff will forfeit games if they are unable to compete. And they made it very clear. These forfeitures will not be made up at a later date, and they will impact playoff standings. The losing team will be charged with a loss. The forfeiting team will be given a loss. The team that was supposed to play that team will be given a win, and it will count against the playoff standings. And you'd have thought that the world stopped spinning. Major names like DeAndre Hopkins coming out threatening to retire if he is forced to get a vaccine. I don't know. Is the NFL doing the right thing? I feel like they are, Jake. I feel like the NFL doesn't have another choice here.
Yeah, I don't think they have another choice either. I think that as a professional athlete, you're in a very gifted position. You're playing a child's game for millions of dollars, and I think the fact is that by not taking a vaccine, you're putting a lot of people at risk. And I think that the NFL, this is a very savvy move by the NFL. There's not a rule on paper that says, hey, you absolutely have to get a vaccine, but there are repercussions if you don't have a vaccine and you're spreading the coronavirus, which is what I think needs to happen in the big picture. To be honest with you, like I think with the NBA, we saw what they had to do to accommodate people who didn't want to get vaccinated, like some guy named LeBron James, and they played in a bubble. Well, the NFL doesn't have that option. The NFL, that's not how the NFL works. They don't have the option of playing, arena football. That's not the position that they're in. So to me, this is one of those things where a lot of people are going to say this is super controversial and this is like, stepping on NFL players' rights. And all I'm saying is, cool. If you don't want to get a vaccine, then you don't want to make millions of dollars, and you don't want to play football bad enough. That's my stance on it. And I just don't think that this is that hard. If you're an NFL player, a lot of these guys, whatever their background came from, they didn't come from millions of dollars, right? Most NFL players and most professional athletes come from humble beginnings. So are you really telling me that the millions of dollars that you can continue to make is that easy to give up? You're really not willing to take a vaccine in a trade for millions of dollars? Because that's what we're talking about now. And it's just surprising.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that this is a no-brainer. If you are an NFL player and you are not vaccinated, you're putting $1 billion industry at risk. You singularly are putting $1 billion industry at risk. And if I'm NFL owners, if I am, Roger Goodell, if I'm in the front office of the NFL, I would have handled it the exact same way. I mean, it's pretty clear with the power of the NFLPA that you cannot mandate players getting vaccinated, but you can make the life of unvaccinated players very difficult. And I think that's exactly the right tact for the NFL to take. And as far as a guy like DeAndre Hopkins goes, DeAndre Hopkins isn't retiring. DeAndre Hopkins has tens of millions of dollars on the line in both endorsements and compensation from the NFL. There's no way he's walking away from that. And I think it's a pretty clear choice. Get vaccinated and let's put this behind us, or be an idiot like Cole Beasley and make up falsehoods that have no basis in science, so that you can get attention. And I think Cole Beasley doesn't want to play in the NFL anymore. And I think that's why Cole Beasley's doing what he's doing. When Cole Beasley tells you to drink water and that will help you avoid the coronavirus, there's no basis in fact or science for that. When Cole Beasley says work out and eat well and you won't get COVID, there's no basis in science for that. And I think what Cole Beasley is doing is Cole Beasley sees a parachute here. He sees a way to pull the ripcord and get out of Buffalo and get out of the NFL. And I think Cole Beasley is well aware that if he gets cut by the Bills because he refused to get vaccinated, Cole Beasley knows he's going to be martyred. Cole Beasley knows he will become a household name in this country, which he is not. And if he just continues on his NFL way, he never will be. And I think that bothers Cole Beasley, because why else would you go to the lengths that Cole Beasley has gone to insult everything around you, to make life difficult for every member of your organization, including your owners, and to risk your career? Because that's what Cole Beasley's doing. And he knows damn well that that's what he's doing. The other thing that Cole Beasley is doing is he's endangering people's lives, talking about how there's we have no idea what the vaccines do. The coronavirus vaccines are the most studied vaccines in the history of the world, in the history of known man, in the history of recorded history. The coronavirus vaccines are the most studied vaccines we've ever had. There are no long-term side effects. There is a small, minute, very small percentage of people that have died, arguably, from the coronavirus vaccine. But far more people have died from coronavirus. Far more people have benefited and been saved by the vaccines. And the percentages in the science would tell you that if you take the vaccine, you are likely not going to die from coronavirus. That the impact of coronavirus on your body is going to be far, far less. That you significantly reduce serious illness by taking the vaccine. But Cole Beasley doesn't say that, because that's not the convenient message for Cole Beasley. The convenient message for Cole Beasley is, I'm a victim, America, MAGA, I got forced out of the NFL, give me money. That's what I feel like Cole Beasley's doing. And I've tried to find the other side of this. I've tried to find the logic in Cole Beasley's statements, and I find none. There is no reasonable explanation for any normal human being to say, I'm not going to take a vaccine, and if you cut me for that, fine. I mean, that's just not a lucid response, in my opinion.
It doesn't make any sense. And I think that for NFL players, you don't see the majority of NFL players doing this, You basically don't see any response for the most part. You see some guys, some outliers like Hopkins and Beasley, who take to Twitter and and voice their concerns and everything like that. But I think the question that I always end up asking, and you were just talking about how there's no long-term side effects, but the question I always wind up asking is, what do these guys think is going to happen to them if they take the vaccine? Do they like a guy like DeAndre Hopkins? Does he really think that the vaccine is going to hurt him or have all these negative repercussions? That's what surprises me. Instead of setting an appointment and spending 10 minutes, in the facility taking the vaccine, you want to cause this whole issue. And not only, and here's the thing too, timing wise, not only is this going to start causing issues in the locker room, this is going to start causing issues on the field. We can see this coming, and that's why I think the NFL releasing this memo, timing-wise, puts a lot of pressure on players to make a choice. Because think about it. They could have released this memo like weeks ago. You could have put this out weeks ago and given players time and like kind of extended the media window on this whole conversation. But what did you do instead? You released this, basically days before training camp starts, and you put pressure on players to make a choice very quickly. And I think that was a savvy play by the NFL. They want guys to get vaccinated. They do not want to risk the billion-dollar industry that is the NFL. And whether you want to say that's on the rich white owners or Roger Goodell or whoever, at the end of the day, whether it's money or life and death, you got to get vaccinated, man. Like that's just what it is. You don't have the luxury of being average Joe who's, has no impact on other people, who's just living at home, living his life and paying his taxes. That's not what NFL players are about, man. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You're in a very privileged position, and you don't want to get vaccinated. And I guess that tells us all we need to know about you at the end of the day.
Well, and I think what this says is that guys like Cole Beasley, if Cole Beasley truly wanted to take a stance and truly was in this for the rights of players, he'd retire. He would retire. He wouldn't put his teammates and he wouldn't put his organization in the situation that he's putting them in. Cole Beasley would simply say, you know what? For me, this isn't the right path in my life. I'm going to retire. But instead, he wants to be a Twitter tough guy, and he wants to attack the NFL, and he wants to be that guy. I'm going to stand up for what people won't. That's who Cole Beasley wants to be.
Yeah.
And to me, he's a fraud. I mean, he has no, and I say he's a fraud not to be spectacular or, not to be like I'm going after Cole Beasley. You know why Cole Beasley's a fraud? Because Cole Beasley has no facts to back up what he's saying. Drinking water does not prevent the coronavirus. He has no facts. There's no science. There's no information out there that says, hey, if I drink water and eat well, I'm not going to get coronavirus. No, what the facts are is that when you make a choice not to get vaccinated, you are making the choice to catch the coronavirus. We were, researching this topic for the show and listening to scientist after scientist say that the Delta variant is 10,000 times more powerful than the original coronavirus. The Delta variant, 10,000 more times. So the example that is being used is, hey, when somebody sneezes and they have coronavirus, they project about 1,000 particles of coronavirus. When somebody who's infected with the Delta variant sneezes, they project 10,000 particles of the Delta variant coronavirus. It's 10,000. Like, do you understand how much more deadly and dangerous the Delta variant is? So when you choose not to wear a mask, you're choosing to get coronavirus. When you choose not to get vaccinated, you are choosing to get sick, you are choosing to die from coronavirus, and you are choosing to infect and potentially kill the people around you. That's the decision that Cole Beasley's made this morning. And Cole Beasley can sit on Twitter and say, oh, I get tested every day, do you? Well, no, but I also don't have the privilege of getting tested every day.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cole, know who you are. Know where you are. Understand that your life is handed to you. You get tested every day. Do you know how many frontline medical workers would love to have the liberties that you have, but they don't have that freedom? You do. And you're using your platform to spread lies about drinking water and avoiding the coronavirus. In my opinion, Cole Beasley, you're very dangerous because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have science on your side. You're a football player. You're not a scientist. You're not a doctor. You're a football player. And with that football player and the abilities and the hard work that you've put in to get there, there comes a certain level of responsibility, right? And when you live in a community like Buffalo and you're revered and you're idolized, and whether it's small children or, over testosterone middle-aged men, who jump through tables for you off of the top of their RVs, you owe them better because they've made you possible. They've made your paycheck possible. Oh, I work hard. They don't lift weights, but they buy tickets. And they don't cut their hair because you don't cut your hair. And they buy your jersey as they did in Dallas. You have so many privileges that you're just taking for granted right now by spreading misinformation and lies. And that's what I don't understand about Cole Beasley. Now, if you want to say that DeAndre Hopkins is another one of those guys, at least DeAndre Hopkins isn't telling people to drink water so you avoid coronavirus.
Yeah, he's just sharing how he feels. What his reaction was. But I don't know, man. This whole thing is just a really difficult situation, I think, in the big picture. And I think that, I do agree with the NFL memo. And I think at the end of the day, now players are going to make a decision. And I think if you're an organization, it's hard to... I mean, think about the ramifications of not having Cole Beasley on the football field, just from a football outlook, not from a COVID or anything else. Not having him on the field for any reason is not good for the Buffalo Bills.
No, he's an important contributor. When he's healthy and he's on the field, Cole Beasley's an important contributor.
I just think that organizations are now going to have to make a decision. I mean, how do you this has so many implications in contracts and what the clause is to cut the guy and what that looks like and what you got to pay him and there's all these different scenarios because every NFL contract is different for every player. So for the Bills, you're sitting there saying, okay, well, it doesn't seem like Cole's going to get vaccinated, so that puts us in a pretty terrible position. And we're kind of at a point where if he gets COVID, playing against the Jaguars in Week 10, as an example or something. And then the rest of our team gets it. Now what? I mean, this is a team that has been a Cinderella story in the NFL for the last 3 seasons. They're pushing towards a Super Bowl run here. And now this comes out, and Cole's doing what he's doing, and it's man, at some point, are we going to be surprised if Josh Allen gets in on this a little bit and maybe makes a comment or tries to kind of take the spotlight off Cole and get it back onto football? You have to do something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like, I don't feel like, I just don't feel like Cole Beasley wants to play in the NFL anymore. And I look at, and I keep bringing up DeAndre Hopkins of the Arizona Cardinals because if those of you who don't know, I want to read his tweet word for word because I don't want to misquote him. DeAndre Hopkins said, "Never thought I would say this, but being put in a position to hurt my team because I don't want to partake in the vaccine is making me question my future in the NFL." And he tagged the NFL at NFL. I give him credit for that. Well, then he deleted his tweet because I think he knows that it's not good business, and there's no doubt that DeAndre Hopkins is a very good businessman.
And I don't mean to cut you off. Look at what CNN has on the tube right now. And I'm not saying CNN's the best one or anything like that.
It just happens to
They
be
were
on.
just showing a graphic of the Delta variant and where it's at. And it's in the southeast in a couple of states like Wyoming, North Dakota, and Idaho. Those are the predominant states where the Delta variant is working and where the vaccination rates are the lowest.
The lowest vaccinated rates in the United States, and this is not shocking to anybody. Idaho, Wyoming, and North Dakota, all Trump states. West Virginia, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. Those are all conservative states. And those are all the lowest vaccinated states. Those are some of the highest COVID infection rate states. That is, and this is what Cole Beasley doesn't grasp. Cole Beasley does not grasp that you're looking at a situation where the science and the result is crystal clear. Where in states where you have higher vaccination rates, you have lower deaths, lower sicknesses, lower hospital beds, lower ICU beds. It's
very simple.
They're facts.
Yeah.
In states with low vaccination rates, you have really high COVID outbreaks. In states like Florida, where their governor Ron DeSantis wants to be the next president and is openly talking about running for president in 2024, they have a huge spike in coronavirus cases. And he does not want mask mandates, and he does not want to continue to push forward vaccinations. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has stopped talking about the importance of vaccines. So what's happened? Vaccination rates in Florida are down. COVID infections are up. And at one point, Ron DeSantis was talking about the importance of, senior citizens getting vaccinated. He stopped doing that. So what have we seen in Florida? The infection rate amongst senior citizens is going up. I talked to a guy in Florida yesterday, a contractor in Florida yesterday, who said, I think he said he's 58 years old. I'm 58 years old and I wear a mask and I've gotten vaccinated, but so many people down here don't want to get vaccinated. I'm not sure that I can keep working. Like, that's where we're at in this country. And nobody's talking about lockdowns or, we're talking about life and death. We're talking about, hey, put a mask on. Oh, can't do that. Can't do that. Like, okay. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand
the science is it's just so funny how in our country that, the science tells us what we need to know, right? The science says vaccination plus mask equals basically you can't get infected with the coronavirus.
Correct.
That's essentially what the science says.
No. The science doesn't say that. What the science says is that you're not going to die from the coronavirus, and if you get the coronavirus, which you can still get with a vaccine, that the impact of that on your body will be far less.
Right.
That's what the science says.
Okay. Well, if you pair a vaccine with a mask, can we agree that your opportunity to get the coronavirus
is far less?
Okay.
Far less.
So with that being said, at the end of the day, the science is saying one thing, and our belief is our country. We have people in this country who think that the science is fake and Fauci's a paid Russian asset and like all this crazy stuff.
And that he's in he owns Pfizer and
yeah, so we're just in a very weird place right now. And I think whether you look at the Cole Beasley situation in the NFL, you look at how the NBA handled the virus or how our country's handling the virus, you have 3 different ways to go about it, and everyone's going to make their choice.
Yeah, James Knight has a question for us.
Okay.
Do you guys talk about anything other than COVID? Don't you get tired of talking about it? Okay, so today, what's the biggest story in sports?
The coronavirus.
Tell me what I'm supposed to be talking about today. The biggest story in sports, by far, it ain't close, is the NFL. Training camps are open, and the NFL sent out a memo. And that memo said that if you get players who are unvaccinated and staff that are unvaccinated, and they catch the coronavirus and it causes you to cancel a game, you're not able to play a game, you're going to get tagged with a loss, and the team you were supposed to play is going to get the win, and we're not going to make that game up. And wingnuts like Cole Beasley went crazy, and guys like DeAndre Hopkins tweeted, and you tell me what we're supposed to be talking about today. Because there's no doubt that this is the number one story in sports. By the way, watching CNBC this morning, what did they lead with? That's right, NFL COVID. And the money that is on the line in America because of coronavirus. By the way, anybody notice the Olympics are open for business? Anybody see any fans in the stands? No. Anybody see all these athletes, well over 100 now, getting infected with coronavirus in Tokyo? Yeah, me too. I did too. I mean, are you serious right now? We are a show that is based in sports headlines. We talk about the biggest stories in sports every single day.
Yeah.
And I am tired of talking about the coronavirus. Get a fucking vaccine so I don't have to do this anymore. Like, how difficult is it? With no offense.
That's true.
You want to get rid of the coronavirus? Get vaccinated. If we would get to 75% vaccination rate in this country, my guess is we would not be talking about coronavirus every day. But you won't. So we are. Those are the simple facts. Like, I'm tired of talking about corona. I'm worn out on it. Like, I am so tired. We sit here every morning. We talk about it every night when we're preparing for the show. Well, here comes the coronavirus again. Well, we got to talk about this. Hey, don't you think we'd rather be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl ring?
Or Aaron Rodgers?
Or, don't you think we'd rather be leading with this Big 12 story? I mean, to me, there's other things I'd rather talk about, but our job is to talk about the biggest stories in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what else there is to say. Jordan Crabtree says, why is it that when Democratic states have high infection rates, the Republican president gets blamed?
Okay, when do Democratic states have high infection rates?
When Republican states have high I can't even say it with a straight face. When when Republican states have high infection rates, the citizens get blamed. Nobody's blaming the citizens for the problems with what Jordan. We're talking about America, right? The United States of America. Nobody's blaming. Nobody is blaming. I would go this far. Nobody's blaming Donald Trump for the coronavirus coming to America. Because I got news for you. It was coming whether it was Donald Trump or any other schmo in the White House. If Hillary Clinton had won the election, 5 years ago now, we still would be right where we were when the coronavirus outbreak happened. Now, you want to talk about the way we handled it? Okay, cool. Different show. Donald Trump's not to blame for coronavirus. But when you look at the media, like this Sean Hannity story that we talked about yesterday that we're going to talk about right now again today, do you know why? Sean Hannity 2 days ago, and you tell me if I'm doing this in the right order.
Yeah.
Sean Hannity 2 days ago said this on his show.
I can't say it enough. Enough people have died. We don't need any more deaths. Research like crazy. Talk to your doctor, your doctors, medical professionals you trust based on your unique medical history, your current medical condition. And it absolutely makes sense for many Americans to get vaccinated. I believe in science. I believe in the science of vaccination.
It makes sense for many Americans to get vaccinated, and I believe in the science, and I believe in the science of vaccinations. All right, cool. Everybody was shocked. Hannity and every other host outside of, Tucker Carlson advocating for vaccines on Fox News the other morning.
Yeah.
And then last night, Sean Hannity last night said this.
In terms of therapeutics. But I never told anyone to get a vaccine. I've been very clear.
What?
Okay, wait. I'm sorry.
Wait. Let's go back.
said
Let's go back to what you said the other day. Here, just really quick. Really quick. Let's just come back to this real quick.
Based on your unique medical history, your current medical condition, and it absolutely makes sense for many Americans to get vaccinated. I believe in science. I believe in the science of vaccination.
And then yesterday, after you said, I believe in science, I believe in science, and I believe in the science of vaccinations. You had 48 hours to take a lot of heat over telling people to get vaccinated. So then you came on the air and said,
in terms of therapeutics. But I never told anyone to get a vaccine. I've been very clear.
What? You have?
this is what I'm talking about. When you ask why we blame the president, well, we don't blame the president. We blame Sean Hannity, who'd like to be president. We blame the media. We blame the zealots. Why does Donald Trump get blamed for the coronavirus? Because he shut down the office that controlled the responses to pandemics in this country. As one of the first things when he got in office, they closed the pandemic office. And what happened? We had a pandemic. And they had no plan to roll out vaccines. And, you know, then he talks about he wants credit for the vaccines, but his supporters won't get vaccinated even though they want to give him credit for the vaccine. Like, people do.
It's so backwards.
You see what I'm saying? This hasn't. It makes my head hurt. It makes my head hurt. Get vaccinated. Make the choice not to die. Make the choice not to get the coronavirus.
And then we can talk about football every day.
And if you choose not to get vaccinated and you get the coronavirus, I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for you. I don't. If you choose to go out and go into confined spaces like grocery stores, I'm wearing a mask in the grocery store now. It sucks, but you have to do it. I'm not going into restaurants anymore right now. It sucks, but you got to do it. Until we get to a place where we can play NFL games without having to have the argument about how my body, my choice. Okay, well then don't tell me that you are going to allow women to do X, Y, and Z. It's their body, it's their choice. But that's not convenient when it comes to vaccines. It's only convenient when it comes to women. right? I just, this whole thing really bothers me. Jordan Crabtree says, New York started out with high infection rates, folks. The subway stayed open. What the hell does that have to do with anything? What does the subway have to do with anything, man? Why? And this is the other thing I don't understand. Why can't you just talk about the issue? Why is it always about Democrats versus Republicans? What about Americans? Jordan, what about Americans?
Yeah.
Cole Beasley, what about Americans? I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I want you not to die from the coronavirus. I don't want to shut businesses down again. I want to go to the movies at some point. That'd be great. You know what else I want to do? I want to travel and not worry about it. A month ago today, I was in Las Vegas celebrating my anniversary. A month later, I can't go to Las Vegas because of the coronavirus outbreak. And by the way, did you notice that Clark County has one of the biggest outbreaks in the country because they lifted mandates and mask requirements as early as anybody else did?
Yeah.
This is so frustrating to me.
And that's the thing. It always turns Democrat versus Republican, or there's always some sort of angle or some sort of this or some sort of that. At the end of the day, what the hell does the subway have to do with where we are right now?
It's
Who
ridiculous,
cares, dude. At the end of the day, you're never going to get away from the fact that if 80% of Americans would just get vaccinated, we don't even need 100%. Like, notice what we're saying here. If 80% of Americans would just get vaccinated, we'd be in a great place.
And you know the other thing that really bothers me, and this is Cole Beasley and everybody, it's Cole Beasley and all these people that are not doctors or scientists that are telling you what to do. You know, I'll give Hannity credit for one thing. He has repeatedly and continuously said, consult your doctor. That's the only thing that he said that I agree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not a doctor, Cole Beasley. You're not a scientist, Cole Beasley. You know, like, we have this idiot going on OAN yesterday talking about how Dr. Fauci should be prosecuted and put in prison for the rest of his life because he's repeatedly lied. Like, what are you what are you talking about?
It's amazing.
What are you talking about? Like, you are not a doctor. You are not a scientist, right? Listen to what the doctors and the scientists say. Why would they and the other thing is, why would all of these people lie to us to get vaccinated?
Yeah, what's the conspiracy on this one?
Where's if you listen to what people have rolled out, well, there's microchips. Where's the evidence there's microchips? There isn't any. None. Zero. The most studied and tested vaccines in the history of pandemics, in the history of vaccines in the world. Nobody's ever found a microchip in a vaccine.
Infowars.com.
Oh, it magnetizes your body. Completely false. They've studied it. They've tested it. Does not do that. Oh, the long-term impacts. There are no long-term impacts. Where are the people who are long haulers after taking the vaccine? Oh, wait, they're not. They're long haulers because they got coronavirus. You know, anyway, let me just read some comments and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about the Big 12. The Nye Guy says, what refutes science? Better science. Brylark says, I don't know if you guys have talked about the stat that came out, like 98% of COVID hospitalizations are unvaccinated people.
Yeah. Not today, but
99.2% of all deaths are unvaccinated. I think it's 98.9% of all hospitalizations are unvaccinated people.
Yeah.
It's like 99% of all ICU beds are unvaccinated people. Like, it's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Eric and Raleigh said, I love that the NFL basically said get vaccinated or don't play. I do. Like, the NFL,
it's not hard.
The NFL owners and Roger Goodell, are they racist? Sure, they could be. Are they overwhelmingly rich white men? Yes. But they have billions of dollars at stake. So they're going to do what they need to do to protect their billions of dollars, period. They're going to make you get vaccinated because they don't want to miss games. And if you miss games, you're not getting paid. By the way, that's the other part of this memo that many people haven't talked about. It's not just that your team's going to forfeit. You're not going to get paid for that week. If your team loses games because your unvaccinated players and staff got COVID, nobody's getting paid that week. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. It's amazing. Jordan Crabtree said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just think there are multiple ways we can help lower infection rates, and some of that includes politics at the national level. Fuck me. Vaccines are not political. Stop. Vaccines are not political. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing, dude. That's the problem. I'm so tired. I rarely get dialed up on things. I'm so tired of Fox versus CNN, Republican versus Democrat. Get vaccinated. Nothing that you can bring up that is anti-vaccine has any basis in fact or science. There's zero evidence to support any anti-vax stand. Stop talking about politics when it comes to vaccines. I'm talking about kids and young people dying from coronavirus. Oh, but it only infects old people. Well, it turns out that was a lie. Well, young people don't get sick they get it, but they don't get sick. Turns out that's a lie. Well, but you treat it like the flu. Turns out that's a lie. It's not political, man. You're killing people with your idiotic, it's political. Because it's not. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I get burned out. This is where I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to keep reading comments about this. Because when you say this is the Democrats are the liberals. Okay, do liberals die from coronavirus? Yes, they do. Do conservatives die from coronavirus? Yes, they do. QAnon members? Yes, they do. Trump supporters? Yes, they do. Biden supporters? Yeah, they do. You know why? Because it doesn't discriminate.
Doesn't give a damn.
The coronavirus doesn't check your voting record. It just gets into your system and eats your lungs for lunch. God's honest truth. I don't know how much more. Anyway. Eric and Raleigh says no one has ever ended up on a ventilator for a month or more from the flu. Correct. I miss his high-spirited Trumpisms. So sad we took away the First Amendment right. LOL. Correct. Did Driftwood really get banned? No, Driftwood did not get banned.
No, Driftwood has been around the show, just not while it's live.
Any comments offline? Gabe Levely says, want to hear conversation Cole Beasley has with teammates who miss game checks and incentive bonuses because he's selfish.
Idiot.
He will not be a Buffalo Bill. And before we move on to this.
View this the same as the flu.
I'm so tired of politics. We're damaging each other. Do you understand that? We're damaging each other. We're no longer Americans. We're Democrats or Republicans. We're not Americans anymore. Just say it. We're not. We're damaging each other.
Yeah.
We're killing our neighbors' children. We're killing, denying global warming. Do you see what's happening in Oregon? I talked to a landscaper in Oregon yesterday. And, working at Yelp has been very educational for me. I talked to this landscaper yesterday named Trevor. And Trevor was in his truck and he was really frustrated. And so I called the guy and I'm like, hey, it's Tim at Yelp. How are you, man? And he just didn't say anything. And usually people will either tell you to F off or they'll be happy to talk to you or whatever. Trevor didn't say anything. And I said, hey, Trevor, are you there? And he said, yeah, I'm here. And he said, I'm having a rough day, man. How are you? And I said, I'm good. Do you want to talk about that? And he goes on to tell me the story that he just left a farm where this farmer, this older man who's a farmer, had died. So his wife, children, and grandchildren had taken over this farm. And they farm hay. Is their main commodity is hay. Well, the fires in Oregon had been approaching their land. So the government where they are, the local municipality, and I'm not going to say where they are, the local municipality said to them, we highly recommend that you chop down your hay fields because they will burn. And so they chopped down all of their hayfields. And the fire never got there. It got within about a half a mile from what this guy was telling me. And it ruined them for the year. It ruined them for the year. And so the reason he was so upset is that the lady was telling him that she doesn't know what they're going to do because now they're financially ruined because they were unable to grow their other crops because of how hot it had been. It got so hot in Oregon this year that it dried out their crops, and their crops on their other fields died. And then they had to essentially chop down their hay. They had to till their hay fields. And so they're financially ruined. And all of them 5 years ago quit their jobs and careers. Now, fortunately, the one kid's a lawyer, and so he'll probably be able to go back to law. But like the other person closed a hardware store. Like this son and his wife had opened a hardware store, and they closed it. And they're done. Because it was like 107 in Oregon. And you're telling me you don't believe in climate change? Ask the people of Portland about climate change. Look at what's going on in Tahoe right now. Look at all the fires. We're having a record fire season. Look at the water shortage. We're in Utah. We're damn near out of water. And the Salt Lake is as low as it's ever been. Has anybody seen Lake Powell? Has anybody seen the Hoover Dam reservoirs? Like, we're killing each other, dude. And you want to talk about Democrats versus Republicans. I'm not interested. I'm not.
Yeah.
I just am not. Anyway, there's my rant. There you go. Like, I'm tired of it.
I don't blame you, man. I mean, at a certain point, people will figure this out. And it's just a shame because it's not hard, man. It's not. I mean, get the vaccine, you're good. Don't get the vaccine, you're going to get sick. And you're going to wind up in the hospital.
Yeah. All right, James Knight. Well, then leave. Like, James, I don't care if you're bored. James Knight says we're boring him. Then get the fuck out. I'm over this too.
Yeah.
I'm over it. James, I like you. I respect you. I appreciate your basketball fandom. If you're bored, leave. If you don't like talking politics, don't come back. If every day you're gonna come in here and comment that, oh, this sucks, and let's talk about like whatever you said, your comment got blocked, so I'm imagining that you cursed in it. Listen, dude, don't come back. If we're such a bad show and we bore you to tears, don't come back. I'm a little frustrated today.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I think that I think that, specifically with James, I mean, if you can't see the connection between politics and the NFL right now, I'm not really sure, what you're looking at. We're not going to sit here and talk about Olympic basketball when we've got people dying in the NFL, basically rolling out groundbreaking memos in their league. I mean, we're not.
Do you not see that these are the most important conversations of our lifetime?
Do you not realize that sport and politics run hand in hand and have for decades? For decades. Some of the greatest moments that we have.
I actually care about my neighbors.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that every American does care about their neighbors, but that's cool that you do. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Again, look at the title of the podcast today. Yeah, it's not that difficult to figure out.
What's the title of the podcast today?
It's really not that difficult to figure out. Let me make sure I read it correctly, because God forbid I would get something wrong. I go to Twitter. Is the NFL wrong for forcing players to get vaccinated?
What's confusing about that?
You knew what we were talking about when you showed up here. Read the description. You knew what we were talking about. Big 12, SEC, Texas and Oklahoma are probably vaccinated.
Yeah.
I will laugh. You know what, man? I rarely get upset like that.
You know what it is? And I know we got to talk about this college football thing, but at the end of the day, I tend to agree with you. I'm starting to come around on this idea that we're not treating each other like fellow Americans. We're not saying, hey man, like, whether you're a Trump supporter or Biden supporter, or you think that, Biden and Trump face swapped and Trump's running the country, regardless of what you think, you're an American. And at the end of the day, why is it that, let's use 9/11 as an easy example here. Why is it that when 9/11 happened, all of us came together and we said, yep, it's our country versus this common enemy. regardless of if you were voting for Bush or Gore or whoever, right? Whoever, right? Whether you're Republican or Democrat, we all came together and said, hey, we have to win the war on terror. We all remember that time. Yet when the coronavirus comes to our country, an unseen force, notice it's not knocking down buildings, right? Notice that there aren't planes blowing up at the Pentagon. But it's
Correct.
killing more people by far than what happened on 9/11, and we can't seem to come together to just say, we need to do this.
Well, what was interesting is in South Florida is a problem right now. Like, there are people here in full-on panic because they can't control the spread of the variant.
Mm-hmm.
And the Orlando Sentinel wrote an opinion piece where they compared the number of deaths in the condo complex collapse.
Jesus.
New coronavirus infections have far surpassed the people who died in that building collapse.
And I truly believe that it's because we can't see it. We can see a building falling down.
Yes.
We can see
Yes.
the dead children and dogs and human beings in the pile of rubble before the hurricane hit and now after the hurricane is left. We can see all of this, right? And we're like, wow, like the devastation. We really got to do something about this. Let's get together. Oh, but all those hundreds of thousands of people that died from the flu, yeah, we're not going to get around that. We don't really care about that. And that's the problem. And I really genuinely, it used to be that I really felt like Trump was at the center of dividing the country. But this is so much further than anything that Trump ever did. Like, yes, I do believe that Trump divided us as a country on some level, but now we're so much further than that. And I think that's the issue. The mindset is Democrat and Republican, and, the election was stolen and all this stuff. And we have to get away from that. We have to. We
have to come together because that's the only way we're going to get over anything.
Yeah.
And Giggity makes a great point, speaking of college football. Nick Saban yesterday said about 90% of his team is vaccinated.
And what do you know? Let's get into the college football story. You're about to talk about revenue numbers for the SEC and the Big 12. Nick Saban yesterday said most of his team is vaccinated. So it's no surprise that the SEC is doing the kind of numbers that he's about to talk about. Just keep that in mind while we talk about this story. Yeah. Seriously.
I mean, it's pretty cut and dry what's going on in the Big 12 versus the SEC. And if you don't know the story, real quick in a capsule, Texas and Oklahoma have let the Big 12 know they're going to leave and join the SEC. And the Big 12 presidents had an emergency meeting, and that meeting excluded Texas and Oklahoma. And they came out of that meeting and said, we're just trying to figure out why Oklahoma and Texas are leaving. We don't understand it. Well, let me help you. In May, the Big 12 announced that they made $345 million in revenue and that each school would get $34.5 million. And that those numbers are down for the second consecutive year because of the coronavirus pandemic. And the loss of championships such as the NCAA tournament. The shortfall was about $50 million. And it was all attributed to the loss of football inventory a year ago. Mm-hmm. Totally understandable that your revenue would be down. I mean, okay, so the SEC in February announced that per school revenue was $45.5 million. $10 million per school more.
Okay.
And that's because they made $637.7 million. More money than they made the previous year. And it is almost double what the Big 12 did. That's why Texas and Oklahoma are leaving.
So if we just pause right there on the story, think about this. During the pandemic, why would it be that the SEC would be able to make that much more money than the Big 12? Well, because they have all the premier names, right? They've got all the premier teams. They have great TV contracts. They've got streaming. They've got everything that you need to have to generate as much revenue as physically possible.
And when you go to Alabama, you're going to get vaccinated. And you're going to win a national championship. And you're going to be in the college football playoff. And you're going to be on ESPN. And your mom and your cousin and your grandfather and all of your friends and their friends and their friends are going to watch you play on national TV every Saturday.
Oh, and by the way, in case anybody was counting, you're also going to have a great chance to go to the NFL. Not that that matters to anybody, right? Not that that matters.
So when we talk about SEC expansion, what's the impact on the Pac-12? Well, immediately Larry Scott got fired. Thank God that finally happened. And you are now talking about massive overhaul of the way business is done in the Pac-12. And I think that's very good for everybody in college football. Now, the issue is that in California, which is primarily where Pac-12 schools are, that you are going to have mass mandates and vaccinations. But what about in Utah at Salt Lake City? What about in Provo at BYU? What about, like, if you think about the football landscape on the West Coast, you have some very liberal markets and you have some really conservative markets.
Yeah.
So as the next 2 months play out and this Delta variant rips through the Republic and, and you see that, Americans don't want to get vaccinated, you watch where these outbreaks happen. Alabama is not likely to miss games because of coronavirus. That's what I would say.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and Giggity says, and you're probably getting drafted. Absolutely. Brylark says it always goes back to the money. Yeah, absolutely. Who's making it? The Big Ten and the SEC. Who's
Wait,
not?
are you talking about the NFL with vaccinations, or are you talking about college football? Because I couldn't tell based on
It's
comment.
both. Yeah. Who's making the money? It is the Big Ten and the SEC. Who's not? The Pac-12 and the Big 12.
And who's not making the money? The small local business, because you won't get vaccinated. Just saying.
And if you think about it, it is that business that sells, Buffalo Bills t-shirts or Bills Mafia t-shirts or those tables that Bills fans jump through.
It's the bar that y'all wanted to go to before the game, 3 hours before the game, so you could watch the morning games when you were going to a 3 o'clock Bills game.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I just think it is. I think it's one of those things where you just have this whole situation there's so much money on the line in sports.
Yep.
That's why the NFL is going to mandate vax without mandating vax.
I think it's brilliant. The way they went about this, I think, is like, I'm not a huge Roger Goodell guy. I've been known to criticize the hell out of him for the way, like 5 years ago with Roger Goodell, I can remember we were on the radio talking about the Zeke Elliott situation and all the domestic violence stuff happening in the league.
Yeah.
And I was criticizing the hell out of Roger Goodell. But for this particular situation, the guy deserves a lot of credit. No, we can't roll out a law that says, hey, you have to get vaccinated.
No.
But damn, you're going to pay the price if you don't. You're definitely going to pay the price if you don't. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And when you look at Alabama, you look at these different teams, you look at all the premier programs or teams, both at the collegiate level and the pro level. All of them handle their business. They make sacrifices to put themselves in a position to have maximum success. So if that means, hey, we got to get vaccinated so that this damn coronavirus can't come for us in the middle of the night and end our season in college football, then we're going to go ahead and do that. And if more people would just have that approach instead of talking about their body getting magnetized and all this crazy stuff, we'd be fine. We'd be the Alabama of college football. It's that simple.
Yeah. Per sources, one NFL team has 8 players who refuse to ever get vaccinated. 7 of them are regarded as too good to be cut.
Well,
and one of the big questions here is, in the NFL, can players be cut if they refuse to get vaccinated? No, they can't.
So, no, they can't on paper, right? But this is the NFL we're talking about. So, my feeling is, and I could be wrong, right? I'm no expert in NFL contracts. I'm not.
Well, and that's it's the cap hit that's the problem.
It's the cap hit, and also in terms of just the action of cutting a player. If an NFL team wants to cut a player, listen, they're going to find a way to cut that player. They will find a way, whether it's a loophole in the contract, there are ways to get it done, I'm sure, with everybody's individual contract. So that's why I say, at the end of the day, if they're, quote, too good to be cut, then there has to be a conversation that's had. And if you're too good to be cut, then your ass is going to sit at home or something. I don't know. They're going to put him on a list, or they're going to put him on... You know how this goes, right? It's the Aaron Rodgers situation, turning down that massive contract. What are the Packers going to do? Are they going to cut him? They're going to trade him? They're going to figure out something. So with this vaccine situation, I just can't... it's hard for me to believe that NFL teams would not find a way to handle it in a way that benefits them. That's what I'm really saying here.
Yeah. Anyway, there you have it. All right. Should we talk about the Traeger or your frustration with millennials?
Let's talk about the Traeger. I mean, we can talk about millennials if you want, and it was something I wanted to talk about, but in light of already roasting people in the comments for their interesting political takes, I don't want the show to be too negative.
Couple of comments. The Pac-12 would take BYU in a heartbeat. Well, I don't know about that. Larry Scott was a clown. California is about to have some more lockdowns. I would think so. If I was paid the amount of money these players are, I'd take the vaccination than the tip of my Johnson, the guy says.
But here's the thing with that,
Okay.
right? Like, I totally agree with the concept. I know he's half joking there, but seriously, these guys are making, it's like, again, Cole Beasley, just because he's kind of the poster child for this. Like, think about it. Cole Beasley, in one of his tweets, and you can go and find it on his Twitter feed, specifically mentioned the fact that his family's taken care of, and he doesn't need to get the vaccine, and everything's all good. So the money thing is so fascinating to me. One guy, player A, is going to say, oh, yeah, we're taken care of. Everything's good. We don't need the vaccine. Player B is going to say, hey, yeah, like, I have made a lot of money and my family is taken care of, but I want the next generation, the next generation, the next generation to be taken care of, so I'm going to get the vaccine. It's amazing to me. That is the perfect example of what we deal with right now.
Cole Beasley's scheduled to make $4.7 million base, $1.5 million signing bonus, a roster bonus of $941,100, a workout bonus of $200,000, and his cap hit is $7.3 million.
Here's a check for $1.4 million. How hard is it? Get a vaccine.
I mean, that to me is pretty simple. It's very simple. Brylark says the NFL will put enough pressure on them. They will either have no choice but to get vaccinated or they won't play in the NFL again. Any player that poses a risk to the NFL or any team's bottom line will get the boot.
See Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. Yeah.
Simple as that.
When BYU comes around to playing on Sundays, all Pac-12 all the time. Well, the issue is, and we talked about this yesterday too.
This pissed a bunch of people off in the comments, bro.
And everybody was saying they'll never play on Sunday. I don't think that BYU should full-time play on Sundays. I mean, it's just not who the institution is, and it's a foundational issue. One Sunday a year, every 3 years, I would have no problem with that. I mean, we've seen the NCAA, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the NCAA has made adjustments for BYU and Sunday play in the past where they've moved or thought about moving BYU to a different region, or, hey, we'll play this on Saturday instead of Sunday. Like,
Yeah.
there are accommodations you can make. And I don't think BYU is a fit for the politics of the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That's why they won't, in my opinion, go to the Pac-12. I think they'll be a fit for the new Big 12, no matter what the incarnation of that Big 12 is. And I do, again, it's just me, I do believe that Colorado and Nebraska will come back to the Big 12. I think that's ultimately what we see. But that's just my opinion. I think it's one of those things where you just have to do what you have to do.
Yep.
I mean, the Nye guy said it's called biting the hand that feeds you. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting to me. I think that NFL, Cole Beasley's a nothing. He's
Yeah.
a role player. He's a guy that, he's a guy that you can do without.
Who's the first quarterback that's going to come out and say that I don't want to get vaccinated?
I don't know. It's interesting. This is,
Because that's where the rubber's really going to meet the road.
yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be a Tom Brady, Justin Herbert. It's going to have to be a really good white player that comes out and talks about vaccinations.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about the fact that, in the black community, vaccinations are a very polarizing conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And there are trust issues with science and, big tech and big pharma and big politics in black America based on history, and there should be. But it will take a Tom Brady. It will take a big name white NFL quarterback before that gets set off.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I just,
Yeah.
Eric also says, the Big 12 won't have a choice to accept BYU's terms if Texas and Oklahoma leave.
They're going to need something.
Yeah, Tanner Plummer says, guys, BYU will never play on Sunday. everything's negotiable.
Yeah.
Everything is negotiable. I there's no doubt for me. Who's the best QB in BYU history? Eric C says. Boy, that's an interesting conversation. The Theismann probably gets in there. Ty Detmer probably is what most people would say. But, I mean, you have Sarkisian, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Taysom Hill, but he got hurt and didn't really win enough. I mean, it's hard because Ty Detmer won a national championship.
Yeah.
So it's awfully hard to not hand him
He gets the edge.
that moniker. But, I mean, Zach Wilson, I would guess certainly has to be in that conversation. Being the number 1 overall pick is pretty damn special. That's a tough conversation. I think most people probably because he won the ring would give it to Ty Detmer. But boy, there's a lot of guys who have put up big numbers. Max Hall's mom. Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. My bad.
That's every day.
Eric C was saying, I was thinking it was Jim McMahon. Oh, yeah, Jesus was the best QB. Yeah, I mean, Joseph Smith,
Yeah.
he could really sling the rock.
Yeah, dude.
Last time we made a reference to Jesus and Joseph Smith
We're
being
getting listen.
our
We're
point
getting
guard
really
and
good.
two guard. And the question was asked, if Jesus Christ and Joseph Smith are your point guard and two guard, who's on the ball? Like, who gets to bring the ball up? Well, I'm going to say Jesus Christ overrules Joseph Smith, so just ask Jesus if he wants to be a point guard or a two guard. It's up to him. Anyway. Was that Robbie Bosco or was that? Oh, no, Ty Detmer won the Heisman Trophy. My bad. That's correct. Robbie Bosco won the national championship. Thank you for correcting that, Tanner Plummer. Wow, look at that. Eric C says, I've been doing some BYU Googling since we've been talking about them lately on the show. Exactly right. Jordan Crabtree said Max Hall. I just said Max Hall's mom.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Brylark says Jesus is a two guard. He always scores. Very true. But my guess is if Jesus played point guard, wouldn't he revolutionize the position?
Probably.
Just saying. Anyway, let's talk about the Traeger. Let's talk about the Traeger this weekend. What are we going to put on the Ironwood 885 this weekend to make us forget about this?
Let's start off with what the hell is the weather going to be this weekend? What are we looking at heat wise? What are we looking at rain wise?
We've had a couple of sunsets full of beautiful thunderstorms, which I just love.
Bro, it's going to be hot this weekend, dude.
It was supposed
98 and 97.
What
Jesus.
happened to like the 80s that were forecasted?
Yeah. Lucas' mom took him.
Apparently. So Saturday 97, Sunday 96, Monday 94, 92, 91, 92, 90, 88, 88 a week from now, next weekend.
So, with the Traeger, knowing that it's going to be hot, I would love to not be using the Traeger at 3 o'clock in the afternoon like last weekend. So,
that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. So,
we need to get an umbrella.
Yeah, we need something to shade it. We need like an umbrella or something. What you need to do is you need to chop all those damn bushes down, and we need to build like a little thing for it.
A paver pad.
A paver pad with a little cover or something.
Yeah, I think we'll put it on the garage.
Yeah.
On that space by the garage, but that's in the fall.
Anyway,
winter.
point is when it's really freaking hot, that actually affects the temp of the Traeger. It's hard to keep it at the low temperature when it's really hot and sitting in the sun. So that's why I was asking what the weather's going to be. But I don't know. I mean, I still maintain, we got some work to do on the fish, front. I think we could probably do some fish, maybe. I know you said you wanted to do some ribs. If we do ribs, we should definitely go by Don's and pick those up tonight and let them sit overnight.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not trying to eat red meat right now.
Okay, so you're off the rib train then.
No. Oh. People educate him.
I'm just asking.
Pork ribs.
Okay, well, I don't know.
How do you not know the difference between beef and pork ribs, boy?
I'm just asking.
You own a Traeger.
Yeah,
and you're telling me
that doesn't mean I'm a freaking pit boss.
Okay. I thought when you had the Traeger name in the garage that you automatically became a pit boss.
Yeah, they say that's how it's supposed to work, but there's lessons learned as you go.
Well, when you make chicken breasts the way you do, you're clearly not a pit boss.
Okay, well, you make them then. Make them then.
I probably should have. Wow. It's a Friday show right here.
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, they turned out fine for me, and somehow, some way, they didn't turn out fine for you. So I don't know, bro.
Rock hard.
Yeah, whatever,
although I'll
dude.
tell you what, I made a lettuce wrap sandwich yesterday. Oh my god.
Yeah, so you're basically back to eating low carb. That's what this is.
That's
no, what you're doing.
Not at all. I'm back to getting my carbs from anything that's not starchy. So like I'm lowering my. But see, once a week, I'm going to have like high fiber cereal so that the next morning I can drop a nuke because you need that in your life. But I'm going to replace that fiber with vegetable fiber. So I'm going to, like yesterday, my God, if you have never tried this, please do. Go to the store and get organic romaine lettuce that's still on the stalk, whole leaves. Rip one of those leaves off that stalk, cut off the bottom part, leave a little bit of the white crunchy part because you want that texture. Get some whole and organic, homemade guacamole from the store. Guac. Spread that guac on the leaf. Chop up some mozzarella. Whole mozzarella. Put some mozzarella chunks on the leaf. Chop up some tomatoes. Put them on the leaf. Right? Then what you do is you get some barbecue sauce. You put that on the leaf. And then if you're me and you're a stud and you lift 225, what do you bench? What you're going to do is you're going to get some Chipotle turkey that is non-cured turkey meat, sliced right at the deli. You're going to take the 2-3 slices of that turkey meat. You're going to roll it up with all those other ingredients inside of that romaine leaf, and you're going to swallow that bad boy.
Okay.
It was amazing. I am so glad I did that. Not only was it amazing, it was filling. It was right after my workout yesterday. We did back and biceps yesterday. It was right after my workout yesterday, and my God, golly goodness. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I made egg casserole the other night, if you follow me on the TikTok machine. I'm all in on TikTok, by the way.
I know.
If you follow me on TikTok and Insta, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, you would have seen that I made an egg casserole the other night that was redonkulous. That was amazing. I mean, there's just so much to like.
Yeah. I mean,
But
there's so much flexibility in
The
food.
reason I'm doing that is I'm going into full in shape for snowboarding season mode now, and so I've got to cut.
Yeah.
So I'm in a cut. I'm in cutting mode, and so I need to get back on the. I have Oreo Ghost Protein Oreo flavor, and I haven't had one since last weekend. I need to get back on the protein train. Mrs. Monty's been fantastic. She makes a lot of good shakes at night for herself, so that's generally what I'll do.
Yeah, we need to just make sure that we're using the Traeger to, whatever
Meal
we
prep.
make, you have to be happy with it. So whatever that looks like, that's what we need.
Wow. Okay. I apparently missed a whole conversation about Max Hall's mom. Tanner Plummer says Max Hall was a beast. Plus, if his mom and Luca's mom got into a fight, Max's mom would win.
I want it.
The Nye guy says hotter than 2 rats fornicating in a wool sock. Tanner Plummer says Max Hall's mom is cooler than Luca's mom.
Okay.
Eric and Raleigh says pork, the other white meat, much like Luca's mom. Nye guy says hotter than taking twin sisters to the prom.
Well,
Tanner Plummer says, oh gosh, you're making me hungry.
Excellent strategy, sir.
I'm sorry, did you say gosh? Gee Willikers. The Fat Jesus says, I like to put an 8-ounce ribeye on my romaine. You should. That would be amazing. Brylark says, Monty, Magic Spoon cereal is the best. Check it out. Oh, cereal's so good. Best cereal. Right now, let's do it. Okay?
okay.
The best cereal is
Like sugar cereal? We're
any
talking
cereal.
About, or?
Any cereal.
Yeah, I mean, cereal that's not good for you. Best cereal is probably going to be peanut butter Captain Crunch or Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, but peanut butter Captain Crunch just destroys
it
your
does.
mouth.
It does. It's hard to eat it, but it tastes bomb.
Nah, you can't just throw out the hard to eat it part. That's like saying your chick doesn't shower and you still got to
Well,
go.
that's like saying
you're going to
drinking
have dinner
water
at the Y. You know what I'm saying?
Drinking water keeps you from getting the vaccine. We both know that's not true.
True,
So,
or that your urine tastes like lemonade.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, listen, the best cereal by far is either Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles.
where does Cinnamon Life rank on the stack?
The problem is Cinnamon Life is not Cinnamon Toast Crunch, so Cinnamon Life is quite far down the stack. But if I want to be a little healthier, Cinnamon Life is better for you. But then if I'm going to eat cinnamon rice, I'm going to have Crispix, and
Yeah.
then cinnamon life again gets pushed down the list.
Crispix.
Like that crunchy flavor on your palate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what your go-to cereal is. Tanner Plummer says Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Go-to cereal is 3 fried eggs with a pork chop.
Oh, exactly. Eric C says Honey Bunches of Oats. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, but the Traeger, seriously, what are we making on the Traeger this weekend?
Ribs. We'll make ribs to eat.
So we need to go to Don's tonight, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes, we do. And then, I think I'm going to also make some wings. Because I love 2 day after wings are.
We need to get more, though, because I would love to have wings for the week. So we need to get more wings so that we can have leftovers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I'm pretty open. I'd love more brats, but they're terrible for you. Yeah, probably pork ribs and wings, I think, is what we'll do. We just need to peruse the meat section at Costco.
Yeah.
Which is to say the swimsuit aisle. Get it? Meets to swimsuit.
We get it.
Luca's mom.
Right.
Anyway, the point is, Luca's mom, by the way, and I think Tanner Plummer has missed this, and I don't know how many people have also missed this, but just because we say Luca's mom doesn't mean specifically Luka Doncic's mother.
No, I guess not.
If I'm walking down the street and I'm like, dude, Luca's mom.
I want it.
It's probably a hot chick walking by. Try to stay with me.
Where's the Italian?
Italian. Oh, there was an Italian. There was an Italian Olympian last night that was like, ooh,
Hold on.
Luca's mom.
Could you do on the smoker? I just thought
Luca's
this right
mom?
now. No.
Oh, my bad.
No,
Go ahead.
No, she does. No, I'm not going to make that joke.
Filet mignon.
Anyway, could we,
Prime rib.
if we wanted to, not that we probably should, but could you make a mac and cheese style dish and then in one of those tins that you can pop in the smoker and then smoke that? I feel
yes.
that would be amazing.
So we can do that.
I never even thought of that until right now.
If you guys are cooking on the trig, can I come over? No. Guy says raisin nut brand. Good.
Yeah.
Fat Jesus says peanut butter Captain Crunch, Lucky Charms, and Life.
Yeah.
Tanner says cinnamon toast crunch. Ryan Buckley says Life OG is the best. Yeah. The Nye Guy, Tanner Plummer, no, you can't come over. How about Max Hall's mom? Luca's mom is already smoking. Exactly right. See, the Nye Guy gets it.
Yep.
The Nye Guy gets it. Yeah, we could do something that's not meat-based. I love the kebabs last weekend.
Yeah, those were amazing, dude.
I would like to have added pineapple to that.
Yeah. They really needed it.
We had Don's Butcher Shop on Redwood Road in West Jordan.
So damn good.
Had bacon-wrapped chicken kebabs.
And he will every single time.
I just want the chicken chunks.
Yeah.
So that I can do chicken, onion, pineapple, chicken, onion, pineapple, chicken, onion, pineapple.
Yeah.
But veggie kebabs are great too. I'd like to get some whole mushrooms and green peppers, onions.
Yeah.
And put them on the kebab for an hour because they need to soften up. They need to break. That needs to break down.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely do that. I would do. What would be amazing would be any kind of dip, any kind of mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you could do that mac and cheese.
That'd be fire.
So yeah, I think you could do that. It just is what it is. Brylark says Reese's is the best for sure.
Reese's
what? Cereal? I've never had the Reese's cereal.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that. I guess I'm dumb. I didn't know they had them.
Oh my God, yes, there's a Reese's cereal. It looks like peanut butter Captain Crunch, but it's Reese's chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ryan Buckley says, any news on the Jazz? Wonder who they're looking at for the VP position. Nothing.
All quiet on the Western Front, my guy.
Nothing so
It'll
far.
come out. It'll come out when they want to. It'll probably come out at 10 o'clock at night.
It's Friday night,
typical
and they
Jazz
tend
news.
to release news late on Friday nights.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, we're going to skip the millennial thing altogether? We probably should.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
It's been a heavier show.
Yeah.
So
we
should probably do that.
But for real though, if you don't have TikTok, you really should get it.
TikTok's fun.
And we're doing a lot of content on there right now, so you should check it out.
Yeah, TikTok's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Oh boy. Jazz hire.
Change to nickname. Oh, wow. I shouldn't open this can of worms. The Cleveland MLB team, because we're not allowed to call them the Cleveland Indians
Jesus,
anymore,
what's their name?
officially announces the name change to the Cleveland Guardians.
This is a code 10 abort.
Bro. The Cleveland Guardians. What? What are you guarding?
Yeah, I don't know. Play the music.
Dude.
That's a terrible name for a baseball
Bro,
team.
what is this? Like Guardians of the Galaxy? What are we doing here?
I don't know. The Cleveland Guardians. Is that like an indoor lacrosse team
So
name?
cool. We're just going to refer to them as the Cleveland Ball Club. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do the Cleveland Guardians. Cannot do that. Hey, interesting show today. I feel like
Don't apologize.
I feel like I should. Yeah, I feel like I want to apologize.
Don't
but I'm
apologize. No.
I'm not gonna.
Hell no.
It just is what it is. It just is what it is. I appreciate everybody who's here. I just joined. I feel like this show will make my blood boil if it's about vaccines. Then
Give it about a week. NFL training camp will open and things will change for you.
the night guy says, "Guardian these nuts." And with that, I say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.